What's up, y'all? Happy Friday. Listen. Hey. Make sure y'all share this because we're going in tonight. We're talking about domestic violence. Not only domestic violence, we're talking about abuse on every level. Verbal, emotional, mental. We're going in tonight. Make sure you guys tap in. Make sure you share this with everybody you know who needs to hear this message because abuse of any level, on any level, is not okay. And we're going to be going in, sharing some things with you all. I can't wait to have my guests on. What's up, Ellis? What's up, man? How are you? Long time no see. Long time no hear. I hope all is well with you. Happy Friday, everybody. Make sure you guys share this with anybody you know who's dealing with mental abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse. Make sure you guys tap in, share this. I have some amazing guests coming on today who's going to be sharing their story, and you do not want to miss out on the gems that they're going to be dropping. All right, Mo, I'm going to bring you on in a minute. Hold on one second. Yeah, we're going to have some fun on tonight. All right. Let me see. I don't see Brittany yet. Hey. Hi, Jaleese. Good to see you. Hope all is well. Happy Friday. Hey. Okay, hold on, Brittany. I'm going to bring you on too, okay? Hold on. Okay. All right. I have my special guest coming on right now. Hey, Brittany.
Hello.
Finally, I can see you now. Listen, y'all, the devil don't want us to be great on tonight. For real. Like, for real. Because I have not had any issues using StreamYard. Let me turn this down. I was just trying to set a vibe when we get on here. It's been a minute since I actually did actual live on here. Mo, you having issues getting on? Hold on, let me see. I'm going to send it to you again. Oh. Hold on a second. Okay. Are you trying to send me a request, Mo, real quick? What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Hey, Britt Jean, good to see you. We're going in tonight, y'all. What's going on? Driven by Purpose, what's going on? Hey, happy Friday. So let me see what's going on here. Can you try and send me a request, Mo? Y'all who tapping in, look. I normally do my segments on StreamYard. And so StreamYard is acting up on tonight. I ain't never had an issue before. Okay, let me see if I can get you on here. There she is.
Hey. Well, I'm sideways. Am I sideways for y'all?
How are you? How's everything? Uh-oh, what just happened? Uh-oh.
He was there for a second.
Right. Where'd she go? Come back, Mo. Y'all tap in. Excuse me. Those who don't know who I am, my name is Shelton Langston. I'm your personal and professional relationship coach, and you're listening in on a conversation with Candid Conversations is the name of the segment. We're talking about domestic violence and surviving violence, and I'm so excited to have my special guests on tonight. They're not really guests, they're family. Okay, they've been on here a few times, and I'm so glad to have Brittany on and Mo. I'm not sure what happened to Mo. I think she probably was trying to, maneuver her phone and probably hit exit by accident. So let me see. Okay. There she is.
Hey, I'm not sure what is going on. And now I cannot hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
It's really low.
Something's wrong with my computer. I don't know why I could not get on. And I haven't had any problems using StreamYard when I do my segments.
Yeah.
And with this one, we're going to have this conversation.
Okay.
This was the enemy. Enemy trying to interfere. Okay?
Including with little 2-year-olds, okay, that's peeking around the corner trying to figure out what I'm doing. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Little 2-year-olds, okay.
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
Anything
yes.
you can use.
Huh?
I said anything the enemy can use.
Anything.
Absolutely.
Anything. So we're trying to be great. He gonna let us be great and allow you all to share your story. And I know that we didn't get a chance to talk before we start the segment, but those who are just joining us, my name is Shelton Langston. I'm your personal and professional relationship coach. And welcome to an episode of Candid Conversations. We're talking about domestic violence. This is Domestic Violence Awareness Month anyway. And I really believe it's important for us to talk about this issue, not only with domestic abuse, but also verbal, emotional abuse is also important to talk about, and how to distinguish those red flags in the beginning of a relationship, even in family members. Oh God, we're going there tonight because it is not okay to be abused by anybody. Not okay on any level. And so I'm excited to have my girls on tonight. They're going to be sharing. Brittany, you can go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell people who you are and what you do.
Okay.
Follow.
Hi, I am Brittanyrose, and I am a school social worker and a licensed therapist. That's all. You want to tell people more?
A fun fact, let people know.
I don't know. I like to do a lot of things. I'm a super extrovert, so I love people. I love hanging with my friends. I love engaging. I'm that person that love group chats, so I'm in like a million group chats.
Oh, you that person.
You're the person I'll be running from. Okay, my group chats are on mute.
Yes. Okay.
Don't mute us.
I mute y'all, sis. I mute y'all. Okay, family group chats. I mute y'all.
Who else do that? Who else mute their family in the group chats? Who do that? Go ahead and comment, y'all. Tell us. We want to know.
Y'all just be talking about nothing, or just memes and funny stuff. Like, stop blowing up my messages, okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Mo, go ahead.
Hi. First of all, Nick, it's been a minute.
I know.
It is so good to see you. Thank you again for having me on your platform. It's been a minute since I have even been doing anything, so I'm so glad to be able to open back up with my girl.
Yes.
My name is Monet Cullins, and I am a domestic violence survivor. I have a cosmetics line that I started while I was in the domestic violence shelter, and I just wrote a book called You Good Sis, and it talks about my life and how I've dealt with the trauma that I've experienced. From the life of incest to abuse as a child to domestic violence, and all other kind of things. So I'm excited to be here and have this conversation. Domestic violence is near and dear to my heart. So thanks again, Nick, for having this very important conversation.
Yes, of course, it's my pleasure. I'm going to have you on a separate segment for you to talk about this book. Okay, because I have it. Okay. Y'all need to tap in. Okay, ladies, y'all need to tap into the book. It's on Amazon. So you guys need to go ahead. Yes.
All right.
Yes. So we definitely want to make sure we tap in with Mo and support her I'll say her ministry, because it's definitely a ministry. Yes. Her and Brittany. Yeah, we'll have services to provide you all. So I want to jump right in and ask a question, and anyone who's watching, you guys can also share in the comments. The icebreaker question is, what did you want to be when you were a little girl? So if you are a man, if you were a boy, what did you want to be when you were a little? A lot of times we're so serious. We're trying to, be in this rat race, trying to beat people to the next thing. We don't take time to just be a kid. And so I just want to ask that question, like, what did you want to be when you were a kid?
You want to go first, Mo?
I was going to say, who going to go first? You can go first. I'll go after you.
Okay. Definitely not a therapist. I wanted two things. Like, I really wanted to be a choreographer and OBGYN. I don't know how I was going to do both, but I wanted
to.
Yes.
I used to dance and all the music, like not in it, but in front of the TV with all the music videos, and I would like science and stuff. So I guess
that sounds like passion and purpose mixed to me.
They do.
I mean, that's what my daughter is very similar. She loves dance, but then it's like, I don't really know if I want to, pursue that for real, or, if that's just a hobby of mine. But I wanted to be a lawyer. My mama was in law school when I was little. And I used to see all these criminal justice books and just all kinds of stuff. And it was just so intriguing. And then I'm also the girl that's going to turn on CSI, Chicago PD, Law and Order, SVU, those shows because I like crime. It's a little weird. But I do, and it's very intriguing to me. But then even just seeing how that me wanting to be that as a little girl has affected me now in what I'm trying to do career wise as far as domestic violence is concerned is just mind blowing to see how it kind of all comes together. So yeah, I wanted to be, and I actually want not just a lawyer. I wanted to be. I don't know if I even knew or researched it for sure, but I wanted to be the first Black Supreme Court justice. Not knowing I was nowhere close to being in the running. There were so many other Black women, just so many steps, a process that you have to go through. I was gonna be the first Black one, okay, and I was just determined. And then it was like, yeah, okay, maybe I just do lawyer, So, yeah, me and criminal justice were real close friends until I changed my major. So. Being a lawyer was my thing.
Wow. So I know for me, I always wanted to dance. And so I do that. I love ballrooming. That's my go-to. It's my hobby, but that's not what I do in real life. But it's something I enjoy doing to help release stress and all that. But that's what I want to be. I want to be a ballet dancer, ballerina. I love tap. I don't do that stuff now, but again, it's something that I love to do just to, when I unwind and all that. So what's up, everybody? Again, those who are just coming on, my name is Shantanique Langston. I'm your personal professional relationship coach. Welcome to another episode of Candid Conversations. Listen, y'all, we normally are on YouTube. So you guys, if anything that we say tonight that resonate with you, make sure you guys follow us here on Instagram. Or also on YouTube, because that's where I normally do my Candid Conversations on YouTube. But tonight, StreamYard will not let me be great. I don't know what was going on, but we're here now. We want to be able to be a blessing to you all and to share some things with you. And then right now, we're talking about surviving domestic violence, and we are in Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and so it's very important that we talk about this issue. Is an issue that's talked about but not really in depth, and I think a lot of times we just kind of sweep it under the rug because we have normalized toxicity, and toxicity is not okay. I'm here to denormalize toxicity. There are so many people who are wrapped in it because we were born shaped in sin and iniquity, yada yada yada. I'm not a Bible thumper, but it's the truth, and we have normalized, like, it is okay to do that. You're supposed to go through this. No, sis, no, bro, we're not supposed to go through this. A lot of people are hurting people because they've been hurt and they don't know how to get help. And tonight we want to make sure we dive in and help some people out here who might be struggling in that area. People are dealing with violence, even, or verbal abuse in their family. So we want to talk about how can we navigate through that. So the definition, we know it is the willful intimidation, physical assault, battery, sexual assault, and or other abusive behavior as part of a systematic pattern of power and control perpetrated by one intimate partner against another. That is the definition of domestic violence. Now, I am not a Bible thumper, but I'm going to tell you something. Everything we go through in our life, y'all, it's in the Word of God. Every single thing. Y'all want to hear about some drama? Forget about the reality shows. Go right to the Bible. Everything was happening under the sun in the Word. If you just read it, you like say, what? I'm telling you, everything. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the Bible does talk about domestic violence. So Psalms 11:5 says, the Lord tests the righteous, but his soul hates the wicked and the one who loves violence. That's Psalm 11:5. All right. Now this one right here is a little lengthy, but I have to read this because I believe nobody's reading their word. Everyone's jumping on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, trying to find Jesus. He ain't there, y'all. He in the word. I'm just trying to help you. All right. So here's the other scripture that talks about violence. But understand this, that in the last days there will become difficulty. For people will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, ungodly, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceitedness, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. Having the appearance of godliness, we see a lot of that on Instagram, but denying its power. Avoid such people. This is 2 Timothy 3:1-8. Again, I will tell anybody when it comes to relationships, it's hard. It's hard work. But also, there are some things that God don't want us to go through. Okay? So if you're listening tonight, I want you to just have an open heart to hear what the ladies have to say tonight. And I want to open it up by saying this. Accepting abuse of any kind is not okay. Who wants to start first? Brittany, you want to say something?
Yeah. I think like you mentioned before, people do tend to normalize toxicity and abuse. You know, even in our music, we see that. That's when
Hey, Winter.
we got like our Futures and Drakes and all of these people that, you know, people think is dope singing these songs. Even our R&B artists, Brent Faiyaz and all of those, you know, and granted, they do make great music, but again, like you said, they tend to normalize, you know, unhealthy love. And we don't know what healthy love really looks like, and we accept it. And not even like you said in our relationships with our partners, but even with our family. A lot of people lack boundaries to say, you know, this isn't good for me, this is unhealthy for me. Whether it be a parent, a grandparent, you know, we're to repetitive generational behavior. So accept it, not knowing that it's hurtful. Verbal abuse is hurtful. So yeah, it's unacceptable.
Go ahead, Mo. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's so embedded in us. A lot of the verbal abuse and things that we experience, especially in our generation as millennials, we just don't go for. I hear a lot of people say, "We so glad that we weren't born when our ancestors were living because we just wouldn't tolerate certain things." And so I feel like it's it's so embedded in our traditions and in our cultures that we don't realize that it's abusive and that it's affected our mental health and how we operate with our children. And we continue to pass that stuff on and on and on and never recognize it as being abusive or toxic. And nobody wants to hold themselves accountable and say, well, I was wrong for even making this decision, you know, for my family or leading y'all in this direction. You know, nobody wants to own up to failing at that part of making that decision. And I think that it's important for us to ever get to a place where we're going to break the generational curse of anger and violence at all when it comes to teaching teaching our daughters and our sons. I'm not just going to say our daughters because men experience domestic violence too, but just teaching the next generation on how to handle and function when you're angry and when you're going through these heavy emotions that you may not be able to articulate. You know, so I think just kind of getting out of the norm of what grandma and big mama did back in the day because it quote unquote worked and it created more trauma than anything.
That is so good what you just said. Yeah, this is generational. And that's because, like you said, the resources back in the day, they didn't have the resources that we have today. And so I always said, and I heard this before in the past, that you're never too old to grow, to learn. And so I agree about the whole accountability part. Let me tell you about the accountability part. It humbles you. But you have so many people who are so prideful. You know, pride comes before the fall. And so when you choose not to be accountable of your part, you are going to stay stagnated. And you also going to stagnate the relationships that you could really have, healthy relationships that you could have in your life when you're not holding yourself accountable to information you're receiving and that you never heard before. Because if you want to break something off your life, you have to really be aware of what am I doing to myself? And how am I causing the other person to feel? Like a lot of times again, going back to the word, a lot of people are selfish. People are in this transactional relationship. It's not really a relationship, it's really a transaction. Yeah. And because even in families, people have transactions, they're not having actual encounters and intimate relationships with their family members and actually breaking things off of their life. So that's a whole nother conversation. But we got to talk about that because that's why people are being abused and all that, because people are sweeping things under the rug and not talking about it. You know, back in the day, whatever happens in the house stays in the house. Yeah. That was everybody know that whole saying, right? Whatever goes on, you don't talk about it. That's the most that to me right there is you're trying to cover up because you don't want to address the elephant in the room. Right. But we're going to be addressing the elephant in the room on tonight. Right. So we're going to talk about mental health or mental abuse. What does that look like? I want one of you to go ahead and share your experience with mental abuse. And what were the early signs in that relationship you were in?
So, mental abuse looks a lot like gaslighting. And for those who don't really know what it is, you think what's happening to you is their fault. It's trying to make you think.
Say it again, could you cut out?
Oh, I'm sorry. So it's gaslighting. So it's making your abuser is making you believe that what they're doing to you is actually your fault and not theirs. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous when you have somebody convinced that they are the issue and you actually harm them. So with my personal experience, when I was in a domestic violence situation, the early sign was the gaslighting. It just start with the physical, and it would be like, okay, well, say for example, he put his hands on me, and it'll be because I did something he didn't like. I think it was like I stayed out or did something as a grown person did, and then he said, well, I only did that because you did XYZ. And me, I'm like, well, after hearing that for so long, it's like, well, maybe I shouldn't have just stayed out all night. Maybe I should have actually checked my text messages instead of just ignoring them. So, okay, pretty much I'll let you slide on this because I was wrong. So that's a form of gaslighting, making you think you're wrong for addressing your hurt.
No accountability, and I that it just irritates my soul. Okay, go ahead.
I agree. I think for me, even just recognizing when the mental abuse started was mind-blowing for me, because I was in this mentoring program that literally dealt with mindset and what you think about yourselves, and we all know about the affirmations and just all the things. And so for me, I had to go back to remember why I thought the way that I did about myself. Where did it come from? And how did it affect me going into a domestic violence relationship? And so that's going back to my childhood and realizing that I've had this mental trauma since childhood. And so it may not be a specific relationship, as we get older and we think, oh, well, it's just one person, that I got in a relationship with. And that's when the abuse started. When all along it was something that happened to you in your childhood that literally sent you in the direction of being in that type of relationship, because you weren't able to deal with that trauma and deal with that pain and unpack it and not go into the same direction of what you experienced as a child. So being able to unpack what you're dealing with mentally, where you are where your mental space is on a daily basis. I've done the mental health check-ins on Clubhouse forever. Because I believe that those are just so important, because when we don't recognize that we're not doing well or that we're not in a good space, we continue to operate on autopilot, and it's just go, 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 go until we burn out. And then we don't recognize that had we dealt with those mental red flags, or signs that were trying to tell us like, hey, take a moment, mentally you can't handle this. Mentally this is tough on you. Mentally this situation is hard for you to handle. And being able to actually understand what that means and unpack it, I think it's important to even be able to understand what state your mental health is actually in.
Yes, that is so good. Oh my goodness. I hope you guys are getting something out of this so far. Those who are coming on, what's going on, y'all? My name is Shelton Langston. I'm your personal professional relationship coach. Welcome to an episode of Candid Conversations. We're talking about surviving domestic violence, and so far we're just covering mental right now, the mental abuse, when to discover those red flags in the beginning of a relationship. You can really see those red flags during the dating phase, y'all. Y'all can see a lot of things. You can avoid a lot of things during that dating phase because, some people just rush and jump into something. When someone is like trying to press to get into a relationship with you, you better watch out for that because there could be some underlying gaslighting happening right in the beginning in that part. Am I lying, y'all? Or y'all can vouch and tell me.
No,
lying. You can.
You're right. The signs were there. Can I add to the mental?
Sure.
So the thing about the mental was I didn't even realize that I was in an abusive relationship until I went to couples counseling, and my therapist was like, "No, you're being abused," and it was just like, wow, I was already that far gone. That was already a year and a half later. But everybody's stories are different. Everybody, just because you could have had a rough childhood or a good childhood and still be a person experienced abuse. I was in the latter. So I had a mom and a dad. They were married. Dad loved me dearly. I knew how it felt to be loved by a father, because you hear that myth like, well, girls like that get in abuse because they don't have a daddy. No, I had a daddy and a big brother. But I was in college and I knew how to hide, because I thought I was grown. So a lot of the things was that person that I thought I was with, it started as manipulation, making me feel like, oh, you should feel so good to be with me because he was, quote unquote, that kind of guy, that, cute, fine guy, this and that, so it was always brainwashing or why did you wear that? I remember the first time I wore mascara for real. Why do you have that? I don't like when you wear that. Maybe you should take that off. Who you trying to look good for? And all of that. Those are red flags. Those are red flags. Why are you questioning me about what I wear? Why are you questioning about how I look? And why you always question, who I'm trying to look good for? So it was always like trying to make me feel that I was good enough for him, but also like you're too good for those other people. So it was kind of trying to make me stay with him. Like you're all I need, pretty much.
Those are insecurities,
Oh,
y'all.
yeah.
That's all that is, a man's insecurities. Because a man who knows what he has, he's gonna be proud of who she is and what she looks like. You might want to be conscious of how she dressed, and vice versa. I mean, a man's man, he not gonna be hounding on a woman like that. He knows who he is. He's secure in who he is. He's confident in who he is. And your job as a man is to praise and honor. The word of God says that. But when you don't know how to praise and honor a woman that God has brought into your life, it's because no one has came to praise and honor you. Mm-hmm. And you don't honor yourself. Because a man who feel like he's the gift of God's women, so, no, he don't. He don't feel that way for real. He really feel insecure, insignificant. Yep. Okay, that's the honest to God truth. I'm sorry, you had something you want to add, Brittany?
No, I was agreeing. I just wish back then I knew. Like, man, I'm surprised. I don't know what you thought, but
yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Mo. You had something you want to add?
Yeah, I was just agreeing. I feel like it's so much more that we don't always recognize. And it leads to things that we could have avoided, had we been able to pay attention to those red flags, and recognizing that, hey, I can get out, now. I don't have to wait until, oh, well, it's okay, that he made a mistake, because I was, in and out of a domestic violence relationship for 11 years. And so it was tough, especially after being with somebody since you were 14 years old. That's all you knew. That was my definition of love. And this is what I had to accept. And so being at a place where it's, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna let it slide this time, you know, and we both have been through trauma, you know, we both have had our experiences with domestic violence, you know, so I gotta stay with him, I gotta help him, I can't leave him stuck, you know, all the excuses that we try to tell ourselves, which takes a toll on our mental health. You know, we end up trying to figure out, well, how can I also bring him out of it? Because that was my thing. I didn't want to leave him in it because we both watched our parents be abusive. And so we traumatized and built a relationship that was really toxic. And even though we didn't want the same relationship that our parents had, we didn't have the tools to make sure that we didn't go down that same path. And so we literally repeated the exact same relationship that each one of our parents. Wow. And it was so deep for me, wanting to pull him back. There were times where we were laying out, I would just be sitting in the bed, you know, just crying because I don't want to leave you because I know that we're both victims. The only difference is I'm making a decision to leave and go to therapy and try my best to hold myself accountable. And we're going to have these conversations because, yeah, we both grew up in trauma, but I'm making a decision that I don't want to continue to live in it and allow our children to have to continue to repeat it because we don't want to own up and say, hey, we might got an issue here. You know, both of us been through the same thing. You know, this is not, you know, healthy for us. And so I think that just getting to that place too and understanding how the role, being in a domestic violence relationship takes a toll on your mental health. It's just so important. And oftentimes we don't pay attention to that.
Yeah. Yeah. You're spot on about this because here's the key. You are willing to go and get the help. Men are a little slow when it comes to getting the help because a lot of times men feel defeated or they feel judged, okay, about getting the help that they need, you know, and you have to think about yourself. Like, yeah, you want somebody to be there for you, but are you there for yourself? When are you going to take the time out to deal with you? And I talked to somebody about this before too. Like the person that we don't want to deal with the most is ourselves. We're very hard on ourselves. It is easier to just be busy doing so many things. And then of course we neglect ourselves and be like, oh, well, deal with it. This is who I am. You know, take it or leave it. No, bro, go get your help so that you can be healthy. Because trust me, when you get older, you're going to wish you had somebody to help you, to bathe you. All right? Because one day you'll get old and you're going to be like, man, I wish I would have got myself together. You don't want to be the one in the hospice and don't have nobody to come to see you. So it's very important to think about, going back to that mental health. And what does your spirit really crave? We don't take the time out to deal with our spirit, man. We don't take time out to deal with our soul. We don't take time out to just deal some mental, like you said, regrouping. And it's very, very important to do that so that when we do want to have these relationships, quote unquote, that we are healthy, you know. And I guess everybody has their own definition of healthy, or I would say they're temporary fixes. Temporary fixes is just that. It's temporary. It's not long term. But if you're looking for long-term relationships, you definitely want to make sure that you are at a place of peace and happiness before someone comes into your life. Okay? No, you're not going to be perfect. No, what we're trying to tell you is that you need to work on yourself and deal with the trauma that you had going on back in your childhood, because a lot of the stuff that we're going through now is all because of something that happened in our childhood that we didn't get fixed. I don't know who I'm preaching to at right now, but it's something that's going on with somebody who needs to really think about, okay, what do I need to fix concerning me so that I am an asset into other people's life. Yeah. No one wants to be that. No one wants to do that. But if you want relationships, you got to look at, how am I an asset in my own life? And that's just real. So I want you guys to really think about that, and then who you have around you in this season. All right. Let's go into the emotional part, because people always say that, okay, yeah, I'm getting hit on, but the scars, they heal, but the emotional part, not so much. So I want to ask you, how were you able to become restored from the emotional damage?
Still restoring.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Well, it's still a lot of healing going on. I know a big breakthrough for me was when 10 years later, I think it's been 10 years, I don't know, over 10 years, but a couple years ago, I remember nobody could even say his name without me cringing and I was at church and we was at like one of our youth programs, and they was like, you haven't forgiven him. And I'm like, forgiven him for what? I did. Him. And they like, no, like, you gotta forgive him because you're still hurting. Like, and that's what the word says. So once I remember reaching out to him, Facebook. He didn't have my number. But I remember reaching out to him and I said, I forgive you for everything you've done to me. And when he responded, forgive me for what? I never did nothing to you. Like, and this was years later.
Yeah.
I was like, when I tell you, I was so angry and I had so much tears just coming out of my eyes. And then it took that moment. It was just like, okay, I got to heal for me, because you should not be stealing my joy and my energy.
That's
and
it.
making me cry years later. And I haven't seen this man again. But he did reach out like a year later after that. It was like, I know exactly what I did to you, and I'm sorry for everything.
Oh, wow.
And that was all I needed. But before then, if I would have never gotten that, I would have been healing. I'm not going to say I'm totally healed, but I'm way better off now after I forgave him and forgave myself.
There you go.
Now I'm like, okay, I'm ready to move on and be able to have these conversations without getting frazzled and emotional and angry. So it's a process.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still going through it. I think even just recognizing that, like you said, when the physical wounds actually heal, the emotional scar is so much deeper. And it takes for you to be patient with yourself and understand that it took a lot for that to even leave that type of scar, that type of mark. And so it's not going to happen. It's not going to scab. Nothing scabs overnight. Nothing heals overnight. You know, even with the smallest cut. You know, and so I think it's important that we are patient with ourselves and understand that the drama that we had to go through, the hurts, the pains, all of the things that we have to endure, that we carry every single has to be, and sometimes that comes.
Hold on, y'all. Can
you hear me? Did it freeze?
Oh, wait a minute. I can hear you now. You froze for a second. I don't know what's going on. Come on, internet.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. It's
okay.
on.
I don't know where did I stop, or what did y'all hear?
No, you're fine. You were just talking. You were talking about.
Oh, you could hear me. It was just frozen.
It was frozen. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So able to recognize that it's going to take time, for you to heal. I think a lot of the time, well, most of the time for me, whenever I was going through therapy, when I got into the domestic violence shelter, I immediately had to go to therapy because that's one of the requirements of being in shelter. And then I began to actually embrace being in therapy because it's like, okay, this is helpful. I can literally talk about the things that I had not been able to talk about as a child because of what goes on in this house stays in this house rule, and also not being able to actually communicate with my mother. And so being able to go to therapy and understand that what the ins and outs of what I was actually experiencing helped me to say, okay, well, this is going to take some time. Okay, you want me to unpack this and this and this. I'm going to have to keep coming back for more, and I think it's important to recognize that going to a therapist is what helps you with your healing process. It's just like going to a regular doctor. I have my therapist appointment is just as good as and just as important as my PCP and my OBGYN. And so I believe that making sure that you have that consistent piece helps you to understand that your emotional well-being is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing, I'm hurt, I got hurt, okay, I got to deal with that pain. Now let's begin the healing process. Like it's going to continue to happen as you live life, and so just embracing that.
I love that. There's a piece I wanted to touch on really quick regarding their emotional scarring. There are people who live in the victimization state of mind. I want to talk to those people. If you continue to blame the other person, you will never heal. And like you're saying, they went to get help. So, and it is a process. And one thing that Mo just said is you have to be patient with yourself. Now, I thought I had patience, all the patience in the world. But until I started working on my business, listen, that's a whole nother level. And I started learning about different levels of peace and patience. And not just dealing with my business, but also dealing with relationships. Because as you shift, relationships shift too. And
Absolutely.
so when you start to deal with your mental health, you got to be willing to deal with yourself first. And forgiveness is never for the other person. Yes, it feels good for the other person to admit and to be accountable of their wrongdoings, but not everybody's cut from that cloth.
Right.
People know what they do to people. They know. They just don't. They don't know how to own up to it because they're not. They don't. They have poor coping skills. People who have poor coping skills don't know how to apologize. I'm gonna say that again. People who have poor coping skills don't know how to say they're sorry because no one's ever told them they were sorry to whatever happened to them when they were younger. So they feel like if I went through it, oh, I'm sucking it up. They told me suck it up all these years. You can suck it up too. Whatever it happened to me. I know someone right now who feel like as a friend, and we had a conversation at work during our PD talking about how they communicate and how they do things. If I do something to you, oh well, we're gonna talk tomorrow. No, sis, we're not talking tomorrow. We're gonna talk about this. I'm gonna hold you accountable. If you can't hold yourself accountable, then why are we here? Why are we communicating? So there are just some people who will not be on your level. They're not mature enough. Again, they're not emotionally intelligent enough to admit that they're sorry. So that's just how it go. And that's a whole nother conversation. That's a conference. Emotional intelligence, that's a whole conference in itself. Because there are so many people out here who are not tapped into their emotions, but they operate from a selfish cloth. Those people are not looking for relationships. They're looking for situationships. Anything they can get their hands on. Again, they like those temporary fixes. They're not looking for anything long term. Even when it comes to relationships where there's abuse, they will never people who are just like narcissistic, and if they're not looking to heal or looking to get help, they will always be a victim themselves because they're pouring out all their hurt on people as they go. They don't care who it is. Whoever gonna take it, keep a licking, keep on ticking because that's all they know when they were growing up. Hey, I've been through this. Suck it up. Who cares? That's how some men and women who are abusers. That's how they think. Um, and again, this is all the emotional part. There are people coming on right now. What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. We're talking about surviving domestic violence. This is a serious conversation. I'm trying to make light of it, but I can't because it's information that we need to know about how to properly heal. There are so many people who need healing and restoration, but we have to really be mindful of the issues first. You can't heal until you deal with the issues and feel the emotions, like Mo was saying. You gotta feel it. We're human. Yeah. We're human, y'all. You gotta be willing to feel those emotions and embrace them because again, you want to understand, okay, I know these feelings. I don't want to ever experience this again. So God, help me deal with it. And send me the people. Y'all may not be around people who are helping you navigate it. This is the time to find the help. A big sister who's happy in her singleness, or a woman who's married and happy in her marriage. Talk to people who are happy and who can help you navigate through whatever I would say trauma that you're dealing with, or emotional trauma that you're dealing with in your life. So I want to talk about the physical part. When did you say it was enough? When was enough enough?
For me, it was when I had a suicide attempt.
Okay.
Like I got to the point where And mind you, I was in school for psychology, so I got tired. I got tired at this point. I was not nowhere. I wasn't near my family. They didn't know. I felt like they would be ashamed of me because the question would be like, why are you in this situation? Um, I left. I know we don't have time to like provide so much context, but I ended up leaving my support system. So I transferred from one college closer to home to be basically with him, but I wasn't with my family. I was just with him. So he moved me outside of town, and my parents didn't even know where I stayed. So I don't have my best friends I went to college with. They're all pissed at me because I'm with this guy that they know. Now, they didn't know he was physically abusive, but they knew something was up and they made it clear they didn't like him. And until I got rid of him, they weren't going to be around. So I didn't have my friends, my family didn't know. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. And, every time I call the police or somebody call the police, I would, oh, no, nothing. It's not that. Because like Mo was saying, I knew that he was coming from a place of hurt and I just wanted to fix it. And then I was tired on that. Then I got his little hoochies calling me, telling me what he done did for because he was a super cheater. And I just got tired. So I remember trying to take my life, and by the grace of God, I didn't. It didn't go through. But I remember my best friend graduating for college, so that's how long it's been. And I remember calling her. I said, I'm ready to go. Like, come get me. I'll give you the details later. And I left. I left that house. I changed my number. I was out of there, and I never looked back. I was tired. I lost everything because of that person. At that moment, that's how I felt. Like, I lost my school, my friends, family, my dignity, and Dan, you almost about to make me take my life. You can't take everything from me. So I was out.
Yeah, that's a major flag right there.
Yeah.
That's too much power too. I think that I realized too. He had a lot of power over me, and even just seeing it now, it aggravates me. That I allowed him to have that much, power. Now recognizing my own strength. I didn't need to depend on him emotionally like I thought I did. And just being there because you understand what I'm going through. What I'm dealing with, the pains, and continuing that trauma bonding. And so for me, the last straw. A few of you know my story. Nick, you know my story. But the Lord had been telling me to move to Dallas for the last 3 years of our relationship. I'm not moving to Dallas. If you're from Houston and Dallas are rivalry cities. We don't fool with Dallas. Okay, just the fun part around that. Like, Lord, you're tripping. I'm not going up there. And I fought it for years, not understanding or not knowing that God was providing a way of escape for me every one of those years. Get out. Have a way to get out of the situation. I'm telling you, to leave, to move. Every time I asked him, it was, well, I don't want to go. I'm going. Well, I'm not going. Even though I know I heard God. And so the last straw, he held me in the shower and choked me, and to the point to where I passed out. And I heard God clear as day say, at what point are you going to listen to what I'm telling you and obey? And it scared the living daylights out of me because my situation, like, we've said several times here tonight that everybody's situation is different. Everybody goes through different types of situation, different types of abuse differently. And so for me, it was, I'm hearing God tell me, this is not the life that I have for you. This is not what I want for you. I'm literally going back and forth from Houston to Dallas at this moment, where he tells me this for GLL at the Potter's House, trying to grow as a woman and who I am. And just all of these things, meanwhile, still stuck in this relationship that I know that God is telling me to get out of. And so I also tried to had a suicide attempt, where I ended up in the psych hospital. And looking at my daughters, I had 3 daughters at the time. And I looked at them and said, who's going to take care of them? Because he could care less, what would happen to me. And if I go, what about my girls? And so living for my kids, living for me first, because I can't live for anybody else but me first, and
Mm-hmm.
to be a better person, so that I can be the best mom for them. And so for me, it was, you got to live. You have to live your life, and that means literally not just going through the emotions and, oh, well, we argued again, but he all right, just literally getting out of that, removing those trauma lenses is what I call them, and stepping out of seeing your life through one particular lens and not realizing that the situation that you're in is toxic and not healthy. Because I think that's the struggle between when you decide to leave, when you don't come back. I left, I think, maybe 13 times, came back. Okay, well, he got to come back because he don't have nowhere to go. I don't want to sleep on the street, so come on, it was so much of the back and forth. And it was just like, oh, like enough is enough. Like enough is it's enough. When a woman's fed up, okay, that's what right? And
Yeah.
so I'm just glad that I was even not only just fed up, but able to follow in what God wanted for my life. After that, it wasn't just, oh, okay, I left my relationship. Now what? It was, okay, God, I left and I'm trusting you because I don't know what to do at this point. I'm shattered, because of the parts about domestic violence that we don't talk about is that we actually love them. And so we still have to grieve the abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And so we want to talk about being sad or being excited that we left the abuser, but there's still a connection there. There's still, some feelings, that are still there that we still have to process through. And so I think just being able to recognize that part of it, like, okay, I've been going through this enough. Like, it's time to go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and finding your why and who you would leave for if you can't leave for yourself just yet.
Ooh, that's so good. Who would you leave for? Yes, that's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to think about those things. Again, we don't sit with our thoughts. The pandemic has caused us to shut down. We still on a shutdown in a sense. Everything not kind of open yet. The virus still out here, but we had time to really sit with ourselves. And there are some people who's making it and some people who are not. But that's why we still have these conversations, talk about things like this. And I love what you said. You have to be willing to see it through. Like, you have to take your time when you make a decision and take a leap of faith. Anything we do in our life, it's gonna be some struggles. It's a risk. Everything we do every day is a risk. I'm a teacher. I'm risking my life every single day, going in the classroom every single day. So again, you're gonna be taking a risk. You may not know. Everything can be planned out. Even when you're trying to escape, you can have a plan, but remember that sometimes God will interrupt that plan. All right, because He's trying to wake, like He woke Mo up. Okay, letting her know, hey, what you gonna do? And sometimes God will interfere just so that you will make a move. And that's what happened to Mo. That's what happened to Brittany. And I'm sure someone's watching right now thinking about, okay, I need to get out of this relationship or the situationship that I'm in. And so I'm really praying that this resonate with somebody tonight. And so I did have a few more questions before I let you guys go. The first one is, why is it important for women to become carriers and learn self-defense? So what I mean by carriers, carrying, a legal, having a CCW and learning self-defense. I believe that women should do that, and I want you guys to share why it's important for women to learn self-defense.
Yeah, I think it's important too. And it's crazy you brought that up because as a part of Battle Buddies, the nonprofit organization that I started, I've always saw it, when God first showed it to me, as just being this support system, kind of what it is right now. But the Lord also showed me that we have to be able to defend ourselves, and start doing self-defense classes. And I'm like, I can fight, Lord. Like, I could fight that. I could be able to handle myself just a little bit. But it was about the discipline, it being a lifestyle change, it being when you taking self-defense classes, there's a lot of discipline that's required, and it literally changes how you handle things emotionally, and the rage and the anger that you may feel from being in that domestic violence relationship. And so I believe that it's honestly a matter of life and death. whether you choose to protect yourself legally, because we like gun ranges around here. Okay, me, my friends, we like the gun range.
I've always wanted to go to a gun range. Who put in the comments, y'all? Who has ever been to a gun range? What you say, Mo? Say it again.
I said I want to have a gun range party where me and all of my friends, or even if we just do like a session where it's like self-defense classes, it's a gun range, it's all things I can't say, but y'all fill in the blank, we'll put behind if something happens. Okay. So to speak.
I'm here for it.
Literally, like, we have to, especially as women, like, there's so many things that are going on nowadays. Pepper spray and give it. Pepper spray is great. You need a little extra outside of that, because there's so much going on with women, and from paper towels in the door. You know what I mean? Just little have to be able to shift your mindset to think, even with all the men in the world, that we're supposed to feel safe. We're supposed to feel protected because we have a man, married women and single women. I know we're talking about just domestic violence at this point, but I believe women in general, whether you're married, single, whatever, need to be carrying, need to know some type of self-defense. Your husband's not with you 24/7, so being able to, as a woman, be able to defend yourself if something happens, not even just that, you're with your children. And somebody got to be able to protect them or fight, even if it's just to get them away, to cover them and protect them. So I just think that it's important. I think it'll be even just a great experience too, just for a woman that has been beaten down, that has been traumatized, to gain her power back, like almost like watching the movie Enough. Y'all remember Enough?
Oh yeah, I remember Enough.
Our favorite part of the movie is what? At the end, when he was gone. Like, that's the favorite part of the movie. Yeah. She did training, she did self-defense classes, she did all of that. The main part, though, was, like you said, going back, was her mental. Believing that she could actually go to that house and do what she did. And so I just think, making sure that your mental health is where it should be first, and then making a decision to get in self-defense. Don't still be angry and enraged and get a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Don't still be, I'm after him and get a gun. Like, we're saying self-defense, meaning in a situation where it's needed. Right. Not provoking, not, oh, this happened, so I'm, because I feel like that has to be articulated too. Just make sure that's clear. Not just, I'm tired of him whooping so I'm going to, that I'm not condoning that. We're not condoning any of that, but making sure that if it needs to happen, that there's a safe with options in it.
Yes, ma'am.
Period. And wherever that safe is, whether it's in your car, or if you carry it in your purse, whatever it is, making sure that you are protected.
Where Medea? Don't let me go get my purse. Don't let me go get my purse.
Little Medea. We little Medeas around here.
Yeah. I think it's important for us to protect ourselves. Like she said, it's a lot going on today. Like, besides domestic violence, we definitely need to be more aware. I think self-defense also allows you to become more aware. I took self-defense when I worked for Quicken Loans some years ago, and Quicken Loans is a great company. They have all kind of things, and so they had self-defense, and I was taking the bus then. Man, that's a long time ago. God, thank you, Lord, for vehicle, huh? So, listen, because that bus ministry, let me tell you.
I have been there.
Okay?
Me too.
With my kids.
Right, bringing that from Detroit. We listen.
Yeah.
Houston's is awful, okay? May not be as bad as Detroit, but Houston's bus system is terrible.
Hey, she go disclaimer. Not as bad as Detroit.
Okay, my bad. That's not what I meant. Okay.
Okay, Mo.
We may be neck and neck. That's what I meant.
All right, we in the middle now. Man, I took self-defense, and one thing that I think he was our undercover or president of their department at Quicken for I don't know, police department, whatever. And so he said that the easiest way to spot somebody suspicious is to scan the room
Mm-hmm.
and look for somebody who's staring at you.
Staring.
And he was so right, because my encounter on the bus, I'm on the phone because the person who's staring at you they're trying to see if you are paying attention. They are looking for, and this is for anybody who wants to know, this is free because he gave it to us for free. A person who is, looking to commit a crime, they're looking at the person who's not paying attention.
Yeah.
So if you are not paying attention, you are a target.
Yeah.
This man thought I was a target, but little did he know I was watching him. So I'm good. I'm a watcher. People don't know that, but I'm good at watching. I could be talking to y'all right now and see something right here. I'm a teacher, so I'll be seeing stuff. My kids be like, "Dang, you don't miss nothing. I can't get in trouble for nothing. Lord Jesus, help me." I want to do something without her looking. That's just the instinct in me. But I would get on the bus. I was on the phone with someone who always stays on the phone with me to make sure I make it home. And he was like, "What's wrong?" Because I got quiet while he was talking. Something going on. And I was like, it's a guy. So the guy actually had pulled out a needle. I'm not lying to y'all. Pulled out a needle. He had it wrapped up in a paper towel. And I had actually passed and I was in the back of the bus. Don't sit in the back of the bus, ladies. Sit in the front.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Period. Sit in the front. I know you're trying to lay back and chill. Don't chill in the back. Not this damn time. You better be in the front. So he was in the back too, but like in front of me. So I actually got up and walked past him. Now he could have easily stabbed me right away, but he was shocked because he didn't realize I got up. So he's like, "Wait a minute." He probably had a strategy, but didn't realize I already saw him. So he was watching when I got to the front, and the driver, he knows me. I'm taking the bus, and he was looking like, "Shiwu, what's going on?" So he looking while he's driving. I was going to write a little note on my transfer and give it back to him, but he was watching. So I got off the bus, and the driver was like, "Oh no, she don't get off no bus now. She's not even at her destination." So it's so good it's important to take the bus that you take a bus be consistent with the driver or drivers, so they know your pattern. But the bus driver ended up calling the police further down. I got off, but I noticed when I got off, the police was driving. So, but again, I was safe because I was aware. So I really believe that self-defense, y'all, helps you become more aware of your surroundings and saves your life.
Absolutely.
Brittany, you want to add to that?
Yeah, you guys hit on a lot of points, but one thing you kind of I think it maybe, I don't know the man's strategy, but a lot of women are getting involved with human trafficking unbeknownst to them, right? Because you do have those people, and it's not even just the men you got to watch out for. The women are the ones that usually, not going to say usually, but sometimes lead you into human trafficking by befriending you and things of that nature. So, with drugs and sharing drinks and all of those things, those are signs, that's a way in to get you, sold. And even then when we are, I guess we were talking about dating and things to protect ourselves. Dating now is different than dating years ago. So you have to be safe. Shouldn't be going over to somebody's house, immediately meeting them off the internet or even from a club or wherever the case, because people crazy nowadays, right? We see Jeffrey Dahmer, that's crazy. So we don't want to do that. But at the same time, we have so many capabilities. If I'm hanging with a guy or hanging with somebody different, I share locations with my friends. It's so many ways that you can protect yourself because people are different, and people will try to hurt you, try to harm you. So you can share your locations. Also, even with rejecting, I know this sounds really bad, but we are living in a life of toxic masculinity. So bruise egos, hurt people, hurt others. So I am not the person to try to embarrass a man in front of somebody. If you ask me out, I'm like, no, thank you, or I have a boy. That's my favorite line. I have a boyfriend. I'm not going to
I don't have one.
Listen, I want to share this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have one. To you, I did.
Listen, and I should have did a will on this, and I didn't do it yet. But let me tell y'all what happened. I'm at the store trying to leave the store, give my car. This man was trying to ask for some money, but I'm like, he not asking for no money. It was weird. Like, he was dressed nice. I'm like, you know, what's going on? He was trying to get my number. Sir, just say that. Just say that. And I said that I had a man. He said he did not mind having an affair.
Oh yeah.
There are some men out here who don't know their self-worth.
Yeah.
Rejection is like, that word does not exist anymore.
Yeah. Or they don't know how to handle it. And that can be an issue too. You know, you reject someone, like they had that girl, and I remember where she was. But the maintenance man, she rejected the maintenance man, and he went in the house and he killed her.
Oh yeah. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah. So it's like, those are things I'm like, all right, here go. I'll just give, you ain't gonna stop if you're gonna be persistent. Here, I'm not giving you my real number, but here, take this.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to distance yourself from the situation. But even how, you know, people get online and try to blast, like, don't do that. Don't entice the ego. And again, I'm not saying if you get hurt it's your fault, but these are just preventative measures. Just like we teach our Black boys how to deal with people in the world, as women, especially Black women, we have to know how to deal with, you know, bruised egos and dangerous men. Like you said, everybody don't take rejection well. Some people get really offended and are hurt and try to hurt you. So, you know, just keep yourself safe first.
Yeah. That's so good. So I have one more thing I want to ask you guys. What is your message to anyone? We have people popping in and off and on, listening in the conversation. Clearly it must be good because they're tapping in and out. So what is your message to anyone who's dealing with domestic violence or mental or emotional abuse from a partner or family member?
You want to go first, Mom?
I'll go first. My first thing would be, you don't deserve that. I don't care what the situation is, who the person is, how long you've known the person, how long the relationship has happened, how much you depend on this person financially, mentally, physically, whatever the situation is. None of that matters when it comes to you being safe and happy and taken care of and respected and loved the way that God has created for you to be. You deserve to feel genuine love and support, regardless to whatever you have ever experienced in your life. I think for a lot of women, we come up with excuses, you know, in our heads. So what about my kids? They're going to be okay. We sometimes try to make the excuse of, oh, I got to stay for the kids. When we stay for the kids, sometimes we're actually staying for ourselves. And we just want to make it seem like, oh, well, it's safety for the kids, when it actually is doing more damage to them than it is good for you to stay in the relationship and allow your children to grow up in it. And so I think that making this tough decision, this very hard decision, that when you do decide to leave, because I'm going to be praying that God would touch your heart and provide a way of escape for you to leave and to never return to that place again. But in the meantime, I am hoping that you would reach out to people that are in your area. I have a nonprofit organization, and we help people who are trying to leave abusive relationships, the Battle Buddies Tribe. And so we have people who are partnered with us in Houston that are able to help you get the support that you need. If it's, hey, I want to leave, I don't have a clue how to do so, and I'm terrified. I have, you know, this many kids, you know, and it's this type of situation. There are resources out there to help you. You're not alone. You're not the first one that's going through this, and unfortunately, you're not going to be the last. And so you have the decision and you have the power to change your life with one decision, and that's leaving the abusive relationship. Making sure that you get the help first so that it is detailed, that it's documented, that you have a couple of girlfriends, guy friends, co-workers, neighbors, anybody that you feel comfortable with knowing what this plan is and how you can effectively execute it with their help, with their support. A lot of family members want to help, and want to help you get out of the abusive relationship. Now, if they're family, then that's a little difficult, but you can still leave them too, because family or not, abuse is abuse. And I am a firm believer, if you read my book, that I absolutely love my family. But if there is a toxic relationship that I have dealt with or I'm dealing with in my family, I love you, but I'm going to love you from a distance, because there's boundaries that I have to put in place in order to protect my peace, in order to protect the generational curses that I'm trying to break off of my family and off of my children. And so sometimes those hard conversations, those hard decisions that we have to make, propel us to where we're supposed to be in the next phases of our lives. And so I would say to her, you're okay. You're okay. It hurts. It's painful, but you're going to be able to get through it. You just have to make that first step. And that first step is either calling the domestic violence hotline or reaching out to one of us who will be willing to talk to you. A lot of people don't even realize they're in domestic violence relationships that are, we've been doing this for years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not healthy, and so just being able to reach out to somebody. There's a lot of people that are domestic violence or are supporting domestic violence awareness, because this is the month of it. And so there are resources out there, and don't feel bad that you have to reach out for support. That's what we're here for. We are survivors who reach back and grab other victims who are going through the exact same thing that we went through. And that's how it's going to continue, because that's what I believe our sisterhood is being able, as domestic violence survivors, is being able to reach back and grab the next one that's going through it and helping her to understand, hey, this hurt, but we got through it, sis. Let's pull the next one up. And just understanding that you have a tribe, you have support, you have several people that you can reach out to, and you're not alone.
So good.
Absolutely.
All right, Brittany.
All right. So I loved what Mo said, just kind of recognizing you don't deserve that. I think self-awareness is extremely important in these type of situations, even if you're not, because I know some people may be listening, well, my situation isn't that bad. But if you know that it's not good for you, then that's something to consider. And I think self-awareness is key. And I tell people to just ask yourself, like, is this good for me? How does this make me feel? Does every encounter with you, most of my encounters with you, end with me in tears, end with me feeling discouraged, end with me feeling defeated or unloved? My mom used to always tell me, love shouldn't hurt that bad, So, and I'm a firm believer of that, especially after I got out of a relationship and got in one where I'm like, oh, this is how love feels. It feels amazing, So I think being self-aware and recognize that, every time I'm talking to you or every time I'm around you, I'm leaving disturbed. Also, something that you said, Nick, earlier, that especially if you have a relationship with God, God's going to give you those warning signs too. You got these red flags, but God's going to give you those warning signs as well. And he's going to constantly make it difficult for you until you be obedient. And when you finally do be obedient, again, it's not easy to leave this. Your heart is with this person. But I'm telling you, when you do leave a situation, God opens up so many doors. It was just like, I remember saying, it's like, everything that I fought to get, it would seem like I was forcing. Like when you're in a relationship, it feels like and it's not good for you, whether it's physically abusive or emotionally. You're like, why it seem like I gotta force this thing to work? Like nothing I do is working. We can't get a house together. We can't do this. It's like a lot of work. And people use the mantra, well, relationships are hard. With they are. It work. But you could tell when you're literally trying to force people to be together. And that's kind of that resistance from God. And it was like, as soon as I literally let go of this person, my life just started to shift. It was just like blessings was just like boom, boom, boom. Till I actually had to say, like, oh, wow, I was holding up so much by staying person. So
listen.
So you really have to be self-aware and ask yourself, like, how does this make me feel? This hurts me. And then lastly, oh, sorry. I think Mo touched on that earlier. Is you can't save people. You can't save people. You know, some people